Hello, I'm back from Guernsey. Yay! And well done, Angela, for last week. So, welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with myself, Paul. Well, Jenny's out doing readings, but Paul from Host for Ghosts and Angela from South Coast Ghosts. So, it's us. No doubt Luke will pop his head in at some stage, or maybe Dora. So, welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live. So, tonight we were very honoured to go to a preview of a film that we've been waiting to see for a while. So we'll talk you through that. And I'm not sure if we have some pictures of us in our finest frocks. Angela's nodding her head. So there we go. Now you can see what we really truly look like when we're done up. Once we had a wash. It's not very often we have a wash, but you'll see a difference on the Friday. So welcome to and then we'll talk about a bit about Guernsey, our trip to Guernsey, myself and Jen, where we went to a few places to do with World War II. On Guernsey, the Occupation Museum and the Underground Hospital. So that was shut, but unfortunately it opens in March, but we were in February. But we went up to the door and had a look around. Quite a spooky place when you see it. It's in between two houses and a little dirt track. So hi, Christine. Welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live. So, Friday night, wow. We were very privileged to go to Daniel Lee Barnett's preview of My Bigfoot Life, which was very good. We were on the dirt. There you go. As Angela's got it there, look. There we can see that. What a film. Well, it's a documentary rather than a film. I found it personally very touching. With Daniel's journey into having autism and how he was treated and how, he got past the obstacles that he did to become, the young guy that he is now, I found it very, very touching. I think everybody in the room did the same thing, so like I said to you, Friday night, Daniel, if you're watching, I take my hat off to you. You've done it, buddy. You've done the hard work and everybody should appreciate what you've done. And you're like a role model for other children that suffer with this similar sort of, with autism, basically, and how you can overcome it and overcome the prejudice that people have towards children like one of my grandchildren, she has autism and very similar to Daniel. So we're going to get her to watch Daniel's journey through to where he is now, and the massive support he had from his family behind him and helped him on his way, and now he's reeling in the credits for what he's done. Hi, Daniel. I'm always here, bro. We know you are, and like I said earlier, Daniel, I take my hat off to you, mate. I can't believe you've done that. But if you get a chance, go and get the documentary. I think it's on Prime. Is that right, Angela? It's on Prime. Go and watch it because it's quite a very, very moving documentary. And the last bit, when they go looking for Bigfoot, is just incredible what they see.
Yeah.
It is quite moving. You sit there and you don't say anything. You're so moved. So, Daniel and your family, well done. And I take my hat off to you. And you deserve to get what you got. So, well done, you, mate. Yeah, so Friday night we were there all dressed up in our flobber, after rushing down the motorway at 100 miles an hour in the rain and the storm and going to pick Angela up from the hotel, but we didn't make it. So myself and Jen had to go straight there, get changed in the car park and whatever. So we didn't think we was going to make it in time, and we didn't want to be late to see the viewing and hold it all up. Yeah. So Daniel, really appreciate it, guys. It's officially released on Apple TV today. So there you go. So it's on the Amazon Prime and on Apple. So get along. Watch it, and if you have children with autism, watch the film, watch the documentary, and it's a real eye-opener. You can see actually how hard his journey was, bless him. But well done, mate. We're for one say, really proud of what you've done and how you've got there. And from myself and Angela and Jen and all of them, we take our hat off to you, mate. So well done, you and your family, for helping you along. There we are. Look, I don't know who that bloke is on the left there. I've never seen him look so clean, but Angela looks very pretty. And I think that's Daniel in the middle. I'm not sure. He's got a bit of a lean on. Yeah, that's Daniel in the middle. Believe it or not, that is Angela with straight hair. Sorry?
We coordinated our colours, me and Daniel.
You planned it. I'm in black and you're in blue. What's going on? You're trying to spot me out? I'm the man who looks like I've been to a funeral. Great to see you, Daniel. I look like I'm going to a funeral instead of a documentary, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. But look how good we brush up. So when you see us in real life, we actually do look like that. Well, I don't wear a suit in real life, but that's the first time I'd worn a suit for ages. So great picture, lovely picture of us three. You know, Daniel's been on here a few times, and when he first started doing the Mythical Legends, he came on with Darren. Darren brought him on to the live. So, and he's gradually picked up and gone on from there. And he knows some great people in the Bigfoot world, Ryan RPG,
Brian.
Yeah, Brian King Sharp. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, Ronnie LeBlanc. That's it, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I know I'd forget it back. It's a blonde moment. Well, I say blonde moment, but anyway, lost that. So there you go. So that's what we look like on a Friday night after work. We look real dapper. Jen's there somewhere, whereas in the background, probably in the loo or doing something, no doubt. But what a great night. You know, we have thoroughly enjoyed it. We met some great people that we've known that have been on their podcasts. They've been on ours. Andy Decotes from Alienate, or Andy Booth, or whatever he's calling it now. There's myself and Jen. Jen looking dapper. Look, we've both been black and everybody's in blue. They're not quite sure what was happening with that. So you won't see me look like that too often. So there we are. So that's in the hall after. So it was a great venue. We really, really enjoyed it. Had a great night. And then obviously headed back to the hotel and had a few drinks there. So there's myself, Jen, Angela, and Andy, Alienate, Andy. So if you're ever looking for aliens, UFOs and cryptids and stuff like that, get onto his Alienate website and have a look. Really, really, really interesting guy. Knows massive amount of UFO. He was great fun. Great picture, Daniel. Is an amazing, extraordinary young man. Congratulations. Yes, he is, Christine. Yeah. You know, if you get a chance, Christine, watch the documentary and you'll really see, you know, what a great achiever he is. So, yeah, we were moved by it. It was great to see. I think Angela had seen it previous, but myself and Jen hadn't seen it because we just hadn't been able to get to one of the conferences it was on with, Daniel. But we were very privileged to be asked to come along with Angela and the others to see it on the Friday night. So we had a great night. It's great meeting other people, other paranormal investigators and UFO specialists and Bigfoot specialists, you know, Expedition Bigfoot, wasn't it? They've been on and all sorts.
Yeah.
Sorry?
And finding Bigfoot.
Yeah. So it's great to see all four of them in the same room at the same time. So well done, Daniel, to get them all together from America. So it was great. It was a good night. And, you know, from the bottom of our heart, thank you, Daniel, for inviting us. You know, it was a real pleasure to watch it. So thank you for that. Well, what can I say? That's it for tonight, really. Then,
Bye.
Bye. So I'd say we were there Friday night. You got anything to add to that, Angela? Or
I don't think so, but I think that's the second time I've seen the movie all the way through, and both times ended up like shedding a tear, where it's just so. Oh.
Yeah, it's very moving.
Every time I watch it, but yeah, I love
it was very moving. I think the bit that really got to me was on the plane when I had to ground the plane. I think
was quite
because
difficult to watch, actually.
It was, because obviously we see that with our grandchild, the same thing, and it was quite difficult to watch. So, but what a movie, what a documentary, you know, and it you've got to watch it. So please, Apple TV, you know, Amazon Prime, get on there and have a look, and I think you'll be moved like we were. So it was a great Friday night, a very special night for us, you know, to be invited, and you know, very honoured. Very honoured. Thank you, Daniel. So that was it. Anything else to add for that night? I'm just going to have a drink of water.
I don't think so, not to the actual night. But the following day was really interesting as well, where got to ask questions to the whole panel, and it felt more like a, what do you call it, like a
question time.
Yeah, but the answers that they were given, especially like RPG, it was more like a self-motivational sort of thing, and
Oh, okay.
it was on that sort of level. It was just sort of brilliant advice, like
Yeah.
for life overall, rather than just going out and into the
Yeah.
woods, like overcoming your fears, and you can face anything, and finding your tribe and all that kind of stuff. And it was just brilliant for that, really.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That, you know, in the movie, you watch it, you'll see that a couple of people overcome their fear of the dark,
Yeah,
which is something else. I mean, I know lots of people that fear the dark, are scared of the dark, but when you watch this documentary, you actually see how difficult it was for them to, you know, overcome that, but they did it. You know, it just shows what you can do with the right people behind you. Like Angela was saying, the right tribe, as I think your RPG puts it. You have the right people behind you and that have got your back. You know, you can achieve anything in life. You know, and there's nothing that can hold you back, providing you have the people behind you and the people motivated and pushing you forward in life. You can achieve anything you want to. Don't let anybody say, "Oh, you'll never make that." Sorry.
And believe in yourself.
Yeah, massively. Don't believe anybody says, "Oh, you'll never do that. You can't do that." Don't ever take that advice. You do what you want to do. That's my advice. You know, and you become what you want to become. The right people behind you, you can. Sky's the limit. You know, and Daniel proved that with what he's done. So, you know, as I say, well done, Daniel. It was a great documentary to watch and very moving. So they had question time on the Saturday. Never give up. Exactly it, mate. That's exactly it. You have setbacks in life, but we all have setbacks, but you just, I always call it like character building because it builds your character in the end, doesn't it? It makes you who you are. And life is difficult at the moment anyway. So, you know, you get knocked down, get up, dust yourself off. You know, you've got to go on. And Daniel shows that in the documentary, you know, with a great team behind him. So well done. And a good team. It's good to see RPG and all the people you see, you know, Brian King Sharp and all of them you see on the TV, but you never actually see in real life. And they are what you are on TV. They're so friendly, so warm, so welcoming. Documentary is just for children. It's for adults as well. Yeah,
definitely.
That's what I'm saying. It's for everybody. So it's well worth watching it. Everybody, adults, children, everybody, nans, grands, grandpas, and everybody. Get on there and have a watch because it's quite moving.
Yeah.
And when you see people like RPG and Brian King Sharp and Rollerball, they're so genuine. You know, when you talk to them, they're not like ego driven or anything like that. They're just so down to earth. And you don't, you know, you see people like that. Sometimes you don't want to go up to them, do you? You think, oh, they won't want a picture with me. But they were so approachable, weren't they? There was just so, you go up, can I have a pic? Yeah, of course you can. You know, so it's well worth. And not sure if Daniel's got one in August. Is he a conference in August? I heard someone mention something.
That's the movie A Monster Con.
Oh, there you go. So go there, meet Daniel and Craig Dowsett. Angela was there. Craig Dowsett Jr., is it? Is it Craig Dowsett Jr.? I think so, anyway. Craig Dowsett. He's a really nice guy, really down to earth, very friendly. You know, he's a movie producer and that. So get down there and move. Are you into movies and all of that type of stuff there, Angela?
Oh, yeah.
I
like my movie. Especially as a guy from Superman, like the 1980s Superman movies. I've got to go and see him. I just have to.
Who knew that? Oh, yeah, big one coming in August. At least you didn't let my bike tyres down, Mr. Howard.
Yeah.
You don't know yet because you haven't found your bike yet. When you find your bike, you might be in trouble. Hi, Luke. Welcome halfway through.
So,
We didn't finish.
Are you okay? How's your mum?
yeah, fine, thanks.
Lynn, are you still alive there?
Yeah, I'm still alive.
Oh, good, good. It's good to hear from you.
For sure.
So we just talked about Friday night, Daniel's documentary. We went down to Bridgwater to see it, the premiere of the documentary. Really interested, Luke. It's a sort of documentary you need to watch, mate, when you get a chance.
Oh yeah.
It's very moving, very, very moving. A great documentary. Yeah, it's the same, you know, meeting the people you see on the TV and you think, oh, well, they won't give me a picture, but they were, weren't they? The RPG was everywhere, chatting to everyone, and you know, Brian King Sharp, Roy LeBlanc, they were all there mingling around. So, you know, you could have had your picture done at any time with them. So it was a great atmosphere, you know, a good venue. The place is nice. I'm going to have to head off now, guys. Love you all. Can't wait to see you all soon again. Take care, Daniel. Look after yourself, mate. We love you too. See you, mate. Take care. So it was a good night into Saturday and a little bit of talk. Oh, we've got a bit of feedback there. Let's stop now, isn't it? Yeah. So, as Angela said, a little bit of a talk on Q&A sort of tight on the Saturday. But if you're into MonsterCon, then get down there in August. Go down there, meet. I'm sure I'll have some quite special guests going. Some people from the film industry, so well worth getting yourself down there. So I'm not sure if I'll be there or thereabouts. I'm not sure what we're doing in August yet. So it's a bit, you know, I need a few more sleeps before I can work that out. So on to Guernsey. So myself and Jen went off to Guernsey, as she calls it, for a Valentine's weekend. So we were out in Guernsey. And the funniest thing is, obviously, we were waiting at Gatwick to get on the plane and realised it's a propeller plane.
Oh,
so that was a bit. Oh yeah, it was a little tiny propeller plane. We looked out the window and went, really? Oh, this should be interesting then. And it was quite a wind. Friday was quite windy, and they were touch and go, and the flight was delayed coming in because it was quite heavy fog in Gatwick. So the flight was delayed leaving Guernsey coming in. Well, you know, we'll get on there. That'll be all right, you know. So obviously we get on with our baggage, sit down and strap yourselves in like you do. Oh my word!
Oh,
so, because we were late taxiing, we were late to take off as well. So and then there's a roar of noise, and I mean mental amount of noise inside. And as we took off, the plane sort of lifted on its side with the wind. So it was a bit sort of like a jet where it sort of just pushes its way up. This was like, I'm thinking, I'm looking at Jen, she's looking at me. We're both thinking, oh, Lordy. Yeah, we were thinking maybe we should have got a bigger plane or gone. We weren't going to drive, but obviously we changed our mind and thought, well, we'll go by plane. What could possibly go wrong by going by plane, apart from the weather? So,
how long's the flight?
55 minutes.
Oh, right. Not too bad.
So as soon as you're up, they're around with the drinks and the duty free, and then they're back down again. So obviously it was a good smooth flight. Once we cleared, it was a good smooth flight. Quite a bang and a crash and a landing on the other side. It's like bang, it's like landing on one side and then sort of come back to the. It was quite entertaining, really.
Yeah.
Me and Jen were looking at each other. We didn't know whether to really laugh, grab hold of each other's heads, or quite what to do. But we landed and got off the plane, which was a bit of a. And then we picked the car up, and they have the same rules as us. It's 35 mile an hour limit all over the island. That's their speed limits. No motorways And if you're driving down on one of the roads that's a little bit narrow, they tell you to drive along the footpath because people would just step into other people's gardens as you go past, and then they step back out again because some of the roads can be quite tight there, quite narrow. Yeah. And I think we only ever saw 2 petrol garages in the whole of the island. So, although we didn't need fuel, but so we drove around for a bit, had a little bit of loot. We were staying in a hotel in Peterport, which is like one of the main bits of Guernsey. And if you look out, you can see all the Channel Islands.
Oh, nice.
The weather started to clear. It was a bit miserable on the Friday, but the weather started to clear. And you could see a fort just in front of us down on the seafront. And that was really interesting. I really wanted to go to that. It was quite haunted, apparently. But it only opens at certain times of the year, which is a pain because we were there in February and most things open in March.
Yeah.
So we missed it by a week or so. Anyway, so we sort of wandered around, drove up and down. Really nice, beautiful countryside. Fantastic, you know. And then on the Saturday, we decided to go to the Occupation Museum, which is a World War II museum run by a guy that got an MBE for services rendered to the museum. He started back in 1957, and he was sitting behind the desk when we went in. So as you go in, obviously it has like I sent Angela some pictures. Anyway, they have like cannons and air raid shelters and all that outside, and then it takes you through the journey really of how the Germans occupied Guernsey during the Second World War and how they were made to work the land, and food was very scarce. So and they didn't have a lot of fuel out there, so they used to transport the horses to pull the carts and all that along. But because they run out of food, as you see it here, it's the underground hospital, which is very famous, like the one on Guernsey. When we went there, it was actually shut, but it tells you all about, I think it's 750 square meters of underground tunnels that they obviously had the islanders and prisoners of war dig it all out. And a lot of it obviously was used later on. I don't know whether people say, if you zoom in, you can actually read. I tried to get it as clear as I could so you could read it. Initially designed to be personnel shelter, it was later decided to convert it into a hospital and an ammunition store, and was mostly completed by spring of 1944. However, it was largely unused as a medical facility after a number of patients were admitted before the war ended, and they were soon reallocated to conditions where suitable for those with poor health. So it was occupied between 1940 and 1945. So when we got there, that underground hospital was shut, unfortunately. It opens the 1st of March. There's the door. But believe it or not, it's on a little dirt road, but to the left and to the right are 2 bungalows. And it's like the tunnel, it's right in the middle of the 2 bungalows. But obviously this was shut. But this is the entrance. You go in and all the tunnels. And they do walk-arounds and all of that. So you can go in there and it's made up to be like the hospital where it would have been in them days. And most of it is original stuff within the side. And it still has the original letterbox to the right there with the Gestapo. If you view it, I think I might have sent it. I don't know. The original letterbox, but I tried to look in, but it's so well thick. I think from obviously the bomb blasts and that I couldn't really get a view into it. But I'd like to go back. But we would probably head to Jersey and see the one on Jersey next. So, because that's again about a 55-minute flight. This was the Occupation Museum. So on the ground floor, you had a lot of the German uniforms and guns and all the things that when they've been ploughing the field up after the war, these would all come to light. They would all been dragged up where the Germans had buried all their ammunition as they were leaving the island, because Guernsey was one of the last islands liberated after the Second World War. And it was the only island that the Germans ever got on British territory. They never got on any other territory other than Guernsey. So Germans occupied, it was the only country, as they call it, occupied by the Germans during the war. So that was interesting. So on this, you go round the bottom, and then obviously you go up the stairs. There's a little cafe there. And then you go upstairs, and there's like a lot of models that were used during them days, like the fire engine, and to sort of behind that picture is a bicycle where they would fix bicycles and leather and police and all of it. But I was the first one up there. There was nobody else there myself. Jen was downstairs What was she doing? I think she was looking at, because they had like what do they call it? It was like a prison cell, and they tell you how they were treating. But they had actual, like the striped pajamas in there from a woman that was served her time there, and a lot of spies were kept there. Now this is as creepy as anything. This mannequin, and this is a lifelike mannequin of the guy that was doing. Sorry,
he's very lifelike.
Oh mate, honestly, if you zoom in.
Oh, it's gone. I can't zoom in on here, so you just have to try and do it on your phones or whatever. I think if Paul touches his phone, he disappears.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Where's he? There he comes. There we go.
So this is a fisherman that was going backwards and forwards out to getting fish and that. He was also bringing other stuff back into Guernsey. So they made a lifelike image of him. And when you get close to him, he actually looks real. When I first went upstairs and looked down there, I thought he was real.
Yeah.
Because he's right down the end of that previous picture, right down the end. And there's a boat in there, the original boat he used. But when you're standing next to him, it's a real odd vibe about him. Jen wouldn't go near him. She said, no. I said, be all right. The worst thing he can do is touch you on the shoulder. But the hands, they'd actually done it. So the veins in the hands and everything stood out. So when you got near it, it actually looked like a real person. So clever. Jen, if she was here, she'd tell you about it. It was so clever, the way they done it. All the hair was like real human hair looking, and it just, I don't know, on a dark night and a dark time in there, I think you'd be quite creeped by that. Because I'm sure that moves.
Yeah. So, it looks like it's about to move.
Yeah. And if you sort of zoom in, you could mistake him for being real. Because look at the wrinkles under the eyes and the lips and the neck. You know, the little bit of the neck, and it was creepy. It was very, very creepy. Even the bloke photobombing it looks creepy. Bloke photobombing it. So it was really creepy. But right sort of where he's looking was, they had real mines that they got out of the harbour as the Germans were leaving. But he got a lot of the memorabilia, like they have the real German uniforms and hats and guns and bayonets and all real uniforms that a lot of the Germans buried on their way off the island. But as they've been ploughing the fields, they've obviously pulled up all this stuff. So we were talking to the owner, who's the guy with the MBE, and he's been running that since 1957 when he first opened the doors to it. And he got an MBE from the Queen for, looking after it. And it really takes you right back in time to how hard they had it on that island when the Germans came, It was a difficult time. It was a difficult time for everybody during the Second World War, obviously, but there, especially being an island, they were very limited on food. It's like now, if they have a massive storm, they can't get planes in, they can't get ships in, all the shelves go empty. Yeah. Because all they really do there, we thought, we must have cattle and all of that to sustain it. And all they really do is milk and butter.
Oh, right.
That's their Jersey milk and Jersey butter. Their meat, a lot of their meat comes from abroad on the ships and the planes that are coming in and out of Jersey all the time. So if they're cut off in a storm, they were saying that their shelves get empty very quickly because they're in, the bread and but you can get amples of milk and butter, but not much else, meat and all of that. Just they can't get it onto the island because of it.
Yeah.
So that was the creepy bit, but that's right down the end of a dark hallway where you saw the fire engine, and it is creepy. This is called it's beautiful. That is. It's called the Little Chapel. Okay. And it's just outside not far from the German underground hospital. So Jen had heard of it. A friend of hers said, "Oh, you've got to go and see it. It's beautiful." So I thought, well, no, we're lost anyway on the island, so we might as well keep driving. And then we sort of stopped and managed to get a signal because it's very difficult to get a signal on your phone out there. So we managed to find the postcode, so we decided to go there. It's called the Little Chapel. And it's made of shells and it's just so beautiful. The weather outside was quite dull and overcast, but when I was talking to a lady that's been there, she said in the summer, like all the colours glow on the floor, and the floor goes orange and purple and greens, and because it's got a window that the light comes through, bounces on the shells, and all the shadows of the shells go on the floor. So it sort of illuminates it like a prism type colours.
Yeah.
It is tiny. You have to turn your shoulders to walk in the door. That's how tiny it is. You can just about stand up, but obviously they still use it to this day. So you go in, you walk up a bit of a step, bit of a hill climb up, and where we're looking there is through the front door of the arch. So you're actually looking into the main chapel. There it is, there up on the hill. See it? But that's all made of shells and oyster, and they even have broken tiles from Wedgwood in there as well. They built it from. So you go up them stairs, and you can see the tunnels to the left and the right. See the little holes in the wall. So you go up the stairs and go through the tunnel, and it brings you out at the top by the steeple.
Oh, okay.
So you actually go underneath and go round, but you can go up. There's steps that go outside. You can actually go through the little tunnel, and it brings you up at the top. So you are back to where we were looking in that door. And then obviously you could go in, and as you go in, you get the chapel there, and you put donation. It's free of charge. You don't have to pay to go in. You just leave a donation, which is lovely. And then as you go in to the right is stairs that go down underground. And where you see the statue in the middle, you actually go from the top down some stairs, and you end up underground in little tiny chapels that are off of it. I'm not sure if I've seen the pictures of them. So there's little tiny chapels as you go downstairs. But each time you go down, you have to keep sort of turning your shoulders because it's very, very narrow, very small, as you can see there. It's tiny, but it's well worth going a visit if you're ever out in Guernsey. Go to the little chapel. It's well worth to see the seashells and all the Wedgwood tiles, and whoever. It's just an incredible place. So we were really glad we went and see that. So that was really nice. But it's right in the middle of nowhere. Literally, you pull up and walk down, and it's there. These are some of the guns that they put outside the Occupation Museum that they got after the war. They revamped them and cleaned them and put them out there. And they have an air raid shelter, an old-fashioned air raid shelter they would have had during that time, an old concrete one in the garden. There it is there, as you can see, an air raid shelter. But that's what they would have had out there. Not that it would do you a lot of good if a bomb dropped on it, but I'm sure it might have helped for a bit, but staved it off. And it had all these type things all the way outside the museum. But if you're ever out there, it's really, really worth going there. And a crashed Spitfire propeller crashed in the field just beyond there, and that they ploughed the wreckage up. But there wasn't a lot of planes. You didn't see a lot of action during the war because it was one of the last islands that was liberated after World War II. Although the Germans were on there for a long period of time, but they were saying it was, they had their bit of the war, obviously, because they were under German occupation. So it was quite a difficult life for them out there. And they were saying that, although the Germans were okay, but they wanted their money's worth. They wanted everything done, and they would execute people if they had to without worrying about it.
Oh, wow.
Bit like they were on the mainland, I suppose, in France. But they were, they were one of the last islands to be liberated after the war, Guernsey. So they had the Germans on for a lot longer after the war until the British went and got it back. As the liberation started, and the Germans started giving, a lot of the Germans had given up by then anyway. They knew they were defeated. So a lot of them had given up on the island anyway. Apparently they were hiding a lot of ammunition and stuff like that in the island. So, they could really surrender with no ammunition, no guns. but in the museum he's got the guns that have all been ploughed up over the island. So it's very, very impressive place to go. If you're ever there, go and stick your head in there. It's really cheap, about £8, I think, an adult. And there's a documentary played for about 16 minutes telling how they were took by the Germans, and Germans had to use rowboats to get onto the island at first because they didn't know the island, and a lot of the convoy ships would go past and not stop there because of the German submarines, but they didn't really get a great deal of help during the Second World War, so they were quite well left on their own to fend for themselves under the occupation of the Germans. So, but unfortunately, we didn't get to the underground hospital museum. But I'd like to. If we go back to Guernsey, they have one there, big one there. So we'll try and go back there when they're open and get inside there and have a good look around. Just get a feel for it. That one we went to there, I know Jen was sitting, the car was there. It's very spooky, very eerie, standing by the doors because you can hear an echo inside. But I couldn't see anything. I tried looking under the door and tried looking through the little hole, but couldn't really see anything. I kept looking through the keyholes, but it's so dark in there. But then I suppose it would be with 750,000 square meters of tunnels. So it's a bit like, it reminded me a bit like, I don't know if anybody on here has been to Chislehurst Caves near us up in Kent. Now that has 23 miles of tunnels in the Chislehurst Cave. That's another place that's well worth going if you're in the Kent area. Is a Chislehurst Cave, because that again was used during the Second World War as a bombing shelter for the public, for the local people. And when you go in there and you sort of go in and you have guided tours, so you have like little tilly lamps, little hurricane lamps they take with you. They have light, but they give you the feel of carrying a lamp in there, because during the war they wouldn't have had the lamps. They just had them hurricane lamps to go down there with. And when you go down there, you sort of go in there, and a few rock bands are played in there. I think, who did he say? David Bowie. A few others like that have played in there because it's got a very good acoustics in the tunnel. But you see the stage where they played that. I can't remember who it was. David, might have been Led Zeppelin or someone like that, very famous, played in there. So you go up to past the stage, you go left. So it was initially, if I'm correct, that the Romans started to dig it out because they wanted a chalk to build their villas, because it was a very, very special limestone chalk there. And it was them that started to dig it out for their villas and send it back to Rome, and their villas built in Britain as it was then. Who else occupied it? A few others over the years it had been there, and obviously they gradually built more and more tunnels in it. So as you go in, you sort of go left and you start to head down the tunnel. The tour is about a mile. So you do about a mile and you come out the other side. So it's really interesting. So we were wandering down there, and that is creepy, because as you turn the corner, you sort of walk down a little way and there's like a whole village underground. They had a paper shop, a post office, the doctors. They had all the bunk beds there where people would sleep during the Blitz and the bombings, because Kent and that area was heavily bombed during the Second World War. So a lot of the local people would go underground at Chislehurst. So it'd be like a little tiny town underground, which is quite creepy, really, when you go under there, because you've got a post office and there was a doctor's, if I remember rightly. There's bunk beds all down the tunnels where people would stay, like a little village within Chislehurst. So I was asking him about the ghostly side, the paranormal side of it. He's a very good young man, knew his stuff, knew very good history, very, very good history. And he said they used to have paranormal groups go there, and they would get a lot. And he said, if you go down, and as we turn the corner, he said, onto your left is a load of built arches on the left-hand side. He said a lot of the maintenance guys go down there because they obviously keep the maintenance done. But it's the middle arch that they won't go in, because they feel like every time they go in, they get pushed out again. So they don't bother to go in there anymore. So he was talking about, like, when they go there at night and lock up. He said it is really quite something else. You know, you do see things moving in the dark, but they're never brave enough to go and look for them. So I said, well, would they hold a paranormal night there? He said, well, they used to. They used to hire it out to paranormal groups, but they had a bit of an issue many years ago where there was a charity paranormal night done there. And what they would do was take three or four people off to different tunnels. And then you would stay there to see who'd stay there the longest overnight.
Oh, really?
So obviously the first two came back and the other two were still there. So the third one came back, but they never saw the fourth one.
Really?
They thought, well, that's really weird. So the morning came, still hadn't come back. They thought, something's wrong here, obviously. So they went looking for about, I'm sure he said it was quite a while, 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours, looking through the tunnels to find this guy because he wasn't in the tunnel where he should have been. And then he found him huddled in a corner down one of the tunnels, rocking backwards and forwards.
Oh, no.
And he obviously had a very bad experience in there with something. And then they vowed to this day, that they would never ever do it again because they thought they actually lost him. But there's 23 miles of tunnels they would have had to search to find him. But they found him down this tunnel 3 or 4 hours later, just sitting in the corner. And they're not sure how he got to the tunnel because he didn't know either. But he was just huddled in the corner. Yeah. He doesn't remember leaving the one tunnel to end up in the other tunnel. So they weren't quite sure what had actually happened, whether he just moved and didn't realise. Because you imagine in a tunnel, it's as dark, isn't it? And we've all been in tunnels. As you know, all the paranormal groups out there, you've been in a dark tunnel. It's immensely dark. But they're 23 miles of them down there. So he said it was quite easy to be lost in 23 miles of tunnel and not be found.
Yeah.
So that's quite scary. And so that's why they don't have paranormal nights there. I did ask, and he said, no. You know, I'd love to have a night there. Sorry?
I can understand if there's 23 miles you just disappear into.
Can you imagine?
I mean, you can tell people don't go on this point, but they can still do it.
Yeah. I think the only way you could do that is to rope it off, but people do step over. You know, how many events have we been to? It says no admittance, but you know, you've gone over that and gone up the stairs or gone into the room, or you know, so
just
if you, and you imagine 23 miles. Can you imagine that, Luke?
Yeah, long,
But when you're in a tunnel like that, and like he shows you, you turn off all the lights in the tunnel. He says, well, get an idea of how dark it is. So they turn the lights off and they make you turn round and round and round.
Oh, no.
And then he says, right, which way is out? And you don't know.
No.
He knows because he doesn't turn around. He's facing the way out. So he's obviously done it so many times he knows the way out. But when you turn round and round and round, it's so dark that he says, well, which way's out? And you're like looking, thinking, I don't actually know which way is out. And he shines his light. He said, that's the way out. And you're facing the opposite way down the tunnel, so not out of the tunnel. So you can imagine on a paranormal night, you get these groups that go off on their own.
Yeah.
And you've only got to go 2 miles, 3 miles down a tunnel. And then, you know, whiz round because something's happened. You turn round and round and round.
Yeah.
So which way's out and which way's down?
Yeah, you wouldn't know if you were coming or going. You'd go another 3 miles in there and then it could be days before someone finds you.
Well, you can. You imagine you keep wandering and wandering. You know, would you intelligence say, well, we're not getting anywhere, we'd turn around and go back the other way? But it's the other way, deeper tunnel, goes further underground than it is. You know, it happened to me once when I did the Royal Holloway College. We did the tunnels that run from the Holloway University at the top down to the sanatorium at the bottom of the hill, because it's on top of Egham Hill near St Anne's Hill, Luke, not far from where you were. So you had the university at the top and then you had the sanatorium down the bottom. So I went there with I think it was Ghost Cover, but Great Britain, and they were doing a paranormal night there because they were really the only ones to do it. So we were in the boiler room, we did the clock tower, and we did the tunnels. And the tunnels were obviously built so none of the patients would walk overground. They all walked underground to the sanatorium. But a lot of during the Second World War, a lot of the priceless pictures were buried in the tunnels. And the only guy that knew where they were had sadly died. So nobody knows where they are. Because the tunnels look exactly, there's 2 tunnels, but they look exactly the same. So nobody knows where this room is. And they never found it since. So anyway, we were down there. She said, we'll go down the tunnel and we'll go for a 20-minute walk down the tunnel. And then you can see, because children have been known to be in the tunnel. You hear laughing from children.
Oh, yeah.
So we wandered down there and it literally was dark. Obviously, we had modern-day torches. But what you didn't actually realise was you're actually walking downhill in the tunnel. Because the tunnel looked straight, but it wasn't. It was downhill. It went down for about 1.5 miles. So you actually didn't realise you're actually travelling down.
Yeah.
Because it's so dark, it looked like you were walking straight.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a group of about 10, I suppose, 8 to 10. And like I thought, this is quite spooky down here because you can't quite see it. She said, well, nobody wander off. Just try and stay as close to each other as you can. So anyway, she said, right, we've been walking for 20 minutes. We're probably 0.5 mile, if not more, down. And I'm thinking, down? What do you mean down? And I didn't actually realise that we were actually walking down the hill, but under the ground. Because it's so dark, you don't get that curvature like we would see in the daylight. It just looks straight because it's dark. So anyway, we turn around. She said, right, we'll turn around and head back. And this is the way back. So we're headed back. And I'm like on the end. I don't know how I've ended up at the end of this group, but I'm on the end. We're walking along and I'm thinking, I don't like being on the end anyway, but I walked along and I could hear what sounded to me like laughing coming up the tunnel, but like someone was running up and skidding on the dirt, like behind me. And I thought, what on earth is that? So I turned around and looked back, couldn't see anything as usual. It's the dark. Shone my torch. I thought, what was that? Oh, not worried. It just might be, I don't know, a rat or something running around. I don't know. So turned around. By the time I looked back, they were about probably 100 yards in front of me. I thought, oh, they're walking at a bit of a pace. There's a bit too much distance here. And she shouted out, "Paul, you all right?" I said, yeah, just come in. But she keep up, please, because I don't want to get lost. And I started to walk. And then I felt something tug on my shirt tail. And I thought, oh, I've got caught on something in the wall. So I was a little bit panicky because I thought I got caught. And I looked behind and I couldn't see anything. I wasn't caught on anything. And I'm thinking, what on earth is this? And I carried on walking and I could feel something like tugging on my shirt tail. I'm thinking, oh. So I started to speed up a little bit quicker. And what I thought I could hear was like something running behind me. And I kept stopping and looking. Obviously nothing, but I could still feel this sort of someone tugging on my shirt tails. So anyway, we got out and I sort of bundled out with them quickly and sort of looked behind in the tunnel. I'm looking, flashing my light down the tunnel. She said, "You all right?" And I was like looking, thinking, what was that? So she said, what's happened? So I told her what had happened. I had the skidding and the children. She said, oh, yeah, the children are often heard laughing and running up and down the tunnels. So she said, what you experienced was during the Second World War, when the bombers were coming over and they were bombing Egham, Heathrow Airport, what would have been bombing their way into London, all the children and the local people would go down the tunnels for protection during the bombing, the real heavy days of the bombing. So what they would do is take the children down there, holding each other's shirt tails, so nobody would get lost while they're down there.
Yeah.
So what she said, what you felt was what they would do is hold the shirt tails, the bombing would come, so they'd all turn around, hold the shirt tails, and all come out of the tunnel together, so nobody was left behind. And she said, probably what you had was a little child holding onto your shirt, the back of your jacket, and coming out the tunnel with you. And that's probably what you would have felt. And I'm like, whoa, I've never felt anything like it. It was just like a little tug, like someone was just sort of trying to hold you back. But, that was quite something else, them tunnels. But like I say, I didn't realise you're actually walking a mile down because the tunnel didn't look like it went down. It just looked like it was straight. You were just walking along a straight tunnel, a bit like I think Widley, isn't it? When you stand at the top of Widley, that actually goes down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can actually see that because of the lighting. If that was in total darkness, you wouldn't know that tunnel went down because it would look flat. Even when you walk it, it doesn't feel like you're walking down, or when you walk up, it doesn't feel like you're walking up. It just feels like you're walking along. And that's how disconcerting it was in these tunnels in the Royal Holloway. So that brought us back to a boiler room, like a massive, massive boiler room they had in the old-fashioned days to run the heating. Or obviously nowadays it's more modern, you know. So we'll go in the boiler room and we'll have a little bit of play there because the tunnels were off the boiler room. So she said, I won't tell you anything about it. She was really good, very good historian. She'd tell the history of the college and how it was built and why it was built. It was built by George Holloway to bring underprivileged women out of the hi Dora.
Sorry.
Oh, right. So it was built to bring out the underprivileged women, ladies of the night, shall we say, to give them a better chance of life and train them to be servants so they would get better jobs. So they would go into London, get a load of them and bring them out. And he built this Royal Holloway for that. So him and his wife would train them to be servants. So they would have a better life than, you know, being prostitutes and ladies of the night and all of that sort of time. So as time went on, they did a lot of people, you know, helped a lot of people. But she started to have mental issues. Jane Holloway, her name was. So she become a bit like, I think, what we call dementia now. You know, that in them days, they wouldn't have known it was dementia. It was just a mental illness. You know, like they would associate everything with mental illness. You know, if you didn't suit the here and now, you were mental and put away or got rid of, out the way, you know. So they built the college, and then he was so devastated by his wife's illness, he built a sanatorium down the bottom of the hill. So he could always just walk down the tunnels and go and see her whenever he wanted. And then eventually she became quite unwell and she moved down to the sanatorium. And then they started to use the sanatorium for people out of London to bring them out because they were so overcrowded during them days in the workhouses and all that. He'd bring in a lot of people out of London to the sanatorium. So it was one of the very first ones known. And it is literally not far from St Anne's Hill where Luke and yourself have been. It's just literally down the road from there. And it's really impressive. So we were in the boiler room and she said, I won't tell you much about the boiler room, see what you think. But it had Ouija boards out. And I'd never, ever been on a Ouija board. So she said, anybody wants to have a go. You know, if you don't, it's fine. And I thought, I've got to have a go because I'm so intrigued how these work. So I said, I'll have a go. She said, yeah, sit down, get your place. And there was about 4 or 5 of us around the table. And it's the first time I'd ever felt a glass move across the table. Like, I'm thinking, I took my finger off thinking, this is okay. Because I was expecting it to sort of drag across the board and tip over because it was dragging, but it didn't. It actually floated quite smoothly around like they do, don't they? You know, sometimes they drop over, but a lot of times they move quite smoothly, which is what I can't always get in my head how they move quite smoothly across the table. Anyway, and it came up with, I can't actually remember the name. It was something like Ted and George. Spelt the name out. We said, who are you? And it went Ted. Spelled out George. Can you tell us the dates? You know, what date is it? And it was something like 1718 or 1850, something like that. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember now. You know, and did you live here? Yes. And it went on for about 10, 15 minutes, this real great communication. And then we said, can you make a noise? And it was like, yeah. And you sort of sat quietly. And then you heard like someone banging on the boiler. Doing. And she looked around and went, right. So she wandered off, said, I'm going to go and have a look behind the boilers, make sure nobody's messing about. And you could see the torch in the darkness. She said, no, there's nobody here. And she's like, Ted, can you make that noise? And dong, you hear it like someone knocking on the boiler. So that was really interesting. And she said, why don't you ask them what they did here? So you asked the question. It took a while to get an answer. But they were the people that looked after the boilers. So they would stoke them, fire them up, ready to keep the heating going throughout the house. And they were very first boilers designed to heat. And then they were both killed there because one of the boilers overpressurized and blew up and killed them.
Ooh.
So they were the two that were still there because they enjoyed their job so much. They're still there. And they want, literally, you were sitting at a table and you know when at the corner of your eye you think you see someone standing in the corners, you know, and the noises and the taps and the bangs and the most incredible place. And then she said, well, what we'd do, because if you go there's a massive, massive clock tower out the front. She said, we'll go up the clock tower to the top and see what you get when you're up there. So you come out and go into the clock tower, and then you go, it's like a set of ladders. You go up one corner, across the floor, up the next corner. So you're sort of doing a zigzag across the tower. Yeah?
Yeah.
So she said, I won't tell you what's going on here, so I'll let you sort of experience yourself if it happens. It's not always happens here. So we've gone up the first couple of floors, nothing really. She said, right, the third floor, so all went up on the third floor. And then we could hear what sounded like someone walking above the floor above us, like footsteps. Do. So she said, well, because what you had to do is open the hatch and go up through the stairs and into the floor. And then the last one up would shut the hatch so you didn't fall down the stairs. So we pushed the hatch open, went up in the room. Of course, there's nobody there. So well, that's really strange. And we heard it on the floor above, and it goes up quite high. It goes about 100 foot, I suppose, in the clock tower. So it's hugely big. So we went up probably, would have said 4 or 5 floors at least. And then she said, if we sit and listen, we just do a bit of calling out and see what we can hear. So we sat there because obviously you heard the footsteps, but it was nobody there. And we were calling out. Yeah. And so we could hear like what sounded like a woman humming. Humming like a tune. Luke's finding something really funny. I'm not sure what. Yeah. Okay. So what sounded like a woman humming. And then she said the story that Jane Holloway used to go up there and do singing lessons with the women up there. And she's often heard women, people coming in the gate has often heard a woman humming up there. But obviously she's never there. But they say that she was always known to be up there singing, teaching them to sing and play music. So that was a really interesting night. That was the Royal Holloway University as it is now. It was a Royal Holloway College when I was there because that's where I did my parapsychology course. It was in the part they call Strodes, which is down the bottom of Eggermill, which is like the adult education side of it.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's part of the Royal Holloway, but it was the Strodes College adult bit that they were doing. So, yeah, it was quite an interesting night, really. But
yeah, sounds good.
I'd say the tunnels are really good. So I had a really good night. So I have been down tunnels, and they can be very deceiving in the dark. Yeah. You don't actually realise you're actually walking down and not along. So, yeah. Have you ever anything like experiences like that, Anja?
No, I don't think so. Whenever I've been in tunnels, there's always been like little safety lights, so it's never been completely dark. The only time I remember being, I can't remember where this venue was or who I was investigating with. I just know that Darren was there. And it was a small room. Yeah, I can't remember where it was or what it was, but it's quite a small room. There's a few of us round a table, and they said they turned the lights off so we could do like a seance type thing.
They turned
the lights off, and then you could not see a thing anywhere. It was that dark. There wasn't even a little, like a bit you could see from a window or a little light anywhere. And I couldn't deal with that. It was too much dark for me. If I can see a little pinprick of light, then I'm fine. But there was absolutely nothing, and I had to get up and leave the room because I thought I need something. It was too scary. Complete darkness.
It's dark beyond dark, isn't it?
Yeah, there was just like not the tiniest dot of light anywhere. I was like, I can't be in here.
I think sometimes. I think panic sets in, didn't it? Because you think if something happens, which way do I run?
Yeah.
And end up running into a wall or a door, or end up causing. And I think sometimes it gets a little bit panicky like that.
Yeah, so we all sat down at a table, but it was just too Too dark.
Too dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, straight off of Guernsey, that was our trip to Guernsey. So an interesting island if you're ever out that way. So we have Fort Brockhurst coming up the 25th of April. So get your tickets, go on to the www.hostforghostparanormal.com. So go on to that website, book your tickets. Fort Brockhurst is a great fort. It's the second time we've been back and the second time it's been investigated. So we should have a good night there. First night was good. We had little bits and pieces and bit coming alive a little bit more. But obviously being associated with the English heritage, you have to go around with one of the staff. So you're not accompanied. You can do what you like when you're all together. So, there's no restrictions, but you have to be with someone because obviously there's a lot of artifacts in there worth of crazy amounts of money. So, but we had a good night when we was there. Knox, Angela's team and Dora's got some great knocking noise. Myself and Luke and that got some real odd bits and pieces in the room and dragging and what sounded like water running, and it was quite an experience in there. In the gun room, we had cat balls going, and so get your tickets, go on there. It's all for charity. We're non-profitable group, so we don't make any money. Everything goes back. We take out tea and coffee. Everything goes back to the English heritage to keep the fort alive, so it keeps it awake. I think that's about it really for tonight. I think I've waffled too long. Obviously said something funny for Luke. So something was funny, but anyway, you might let us into the joke. You never know.
My mum's fault.
Hey?
Oh.
Mum's fault.
All right. So go onto the website, get your tickets for Fort Brockhurst and go along there. I think you'll have a good night. Enjoy it. You will have a good night. It's good fun. It's a fast fort. It's huge.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're still renovating, so we get small parts of it and a little bit more each time. And hopefully, when in the spring, when they open up the ramparts and stuff, we can get to the big, tops of the fort and do it up there. So, and hopefully, at some stage, they want us to do a staff-only night. We've got to arrange what night that is, so that'll be a small group, but we'll quite look forward to that. So, I say, pop onto the website, 25th of April. We'll be there. Myself, I think Luke's going. Angela will be there. Yeah. Dora and Jen will be there. And a few of the old faces we know will be there. So come along. It's a great night. We have tons of equipment you can use. Cameras and cat balls and REM pods. Luke normally has his REM pod and he's got a dog ball with him now. So with lots of stuff, SLS cameras. What else have I got? I've got a Dead Man's Bell that I've been sent to try, so we can give that a run out at night and see how well that works. So that's it for tonight, really. So I hope you enjoyed it, me waffling. But we had a great night Friday night, as I say, with Daniels, and myself and Jen had a great time on Guernsey. We really enjoyed it, seeing the museums and that. So we will go back to Jersey one day. Apparently that's more commercialised than Guernsey, but we'll see. Hopefully not in a propellered plane. Hopefully they have jet planes go on to Jersey and not an old propeller plane. Oh, my word. Unreal. Because they say if they get high winds or a storm, then nobody leaves the island.
No.
Because it takes 2 or 3 days for the storm to blow past.
Oh, no.
I can think of worse places to be stuck for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Just driving around the island. Not a very big island.
No.
Go pub crawl.
How
Anyway,
big is it compared to the Isle of Wight? 'Cause the Isle of Wight's quite big, isn't it?
do you know what? I don't think it's as big as the Isle of Wight.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, it's tiny. I know the Isle of Wight is quite big, is it? How long did it take you to get around the Isle of Wight? An hour and a half, maybe?
Oh, no, a lot longer than that.
But to go around the island, because they have one main road and little roads off, and it just goes round in a circle. They don't have a motorway or anything like that. Yeah. It probably would have took you an hour to get around the island.
Oh, wow.
And probably less if you cut across. It's quite small. One of the smaller Channel Islands. You've got Stark, Guernsey, Jersey, Alderney.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
another one of the Channel Islands there. When you're standing at Peter's Port, you can see the islands. On a clear day, you can actually see them. So it's
Ah.
quite a sight to see all the Channel Islands. So I've never been there before, but I'm really glad we did go, and I can't wait to go to Jersey, really. And
Yeah.
go to all the German museums there and have a good look around. So fingers crossed
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
If I win the lottery, I'll take us all out there.
Yeah.
Except for your mum, Luke. You can come on
Yeah.
your own. Anyway, only remains to be say, I hope you didn't get bored of the waffle, as usual. Next week, we will have Buck's Paranormal coming on. I think his name's Daniel. I think so. I'll have to check that. They're coming on next week. Or he's coming on. Talk about his group and what he's done. He's a podcaster. He does lots of really interesting podcasts. I've listened to a few. He said he'll come on and chat to us, and he asked us what questions we would be asking. So if you have questions for him, please send them in on the night, and he'll try and answer them. But very interesting guy, very interesting guy. Many years of experience. Used to belong to a team, but the team faded out, and he does a lot of it on his own. Does a lot of podcasting. So tune in next week. We'll have him on. All fingers crossed. He's agreed to. We just got to send him the link. So hopefully he'll be on and we can have a chat with him. So ask him, send in your questions. So
Cool.
only remains me to say, Andrew, you got anything to add?
Nope.
Luke?
That's there.
No. Has your mum got anything to add?
No, she's in the kitchen.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
And that remains me to say, have a great week. Be safe. If you get a chance, have a look at Daniel's documentary. I think you'll be impressed with it. It's very good. Very, very good. So it only remains me to say, have a safe week. Take care, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.